Hello, podcasters, and welcome once again to Sexplosion. My name is Caroline Chenier from CarolineChenierCoaching.com, and I'm your coach on all things intimacy, relationship, sex, and super consciousness. This is my podcast teaching you about how to sexually liberate yourself to be confident, spicy, and fun around intimacy and sex, along with learning about how to build a great foundation for strong, long-lasting, and passionate relationships. This is unfiltered, uncensored, and very much unexpected. So just to tell you a couple of things first. One is that my book will be coming out soon with a pre-launch where you can get it totally free. So watch out for that. And the second thing, I'd like you to join me on my TikTok lives with 3,000 other TikTokers every weekday, just after 12 o'clock p.m. UK time, where I talk about everything to do with sex, just like today's topic. I've actually been banned 3 times so far, but because it's educational, I've been reinstated every single time. My handle is super easy to remember. It's Caroline Sexplosion. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are talking today, I'm so excited about this, sex and the erogenous zones, along with female ejaculation today. I know it's exciting, isn't it? And for this conversation, I'm delighted to welcome back Dr. Stacy Friedman, who is a clinical sexologist and sex coach. She specializes in alternative lifestyles as well as the LGBTQ community, and that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or sometimes questioning community. She holds a doctorate degree in human sexuality in addition to a master's in clinical sexology and is a certified sex coach. She is a member of the World Association of Sex Coaching, including ACS, the American College of Sexologists. She has a BA in psychology and been registered diagnostic medical sonographer and vascular sonographer since 1994. Might have to explain that one. This experience allows her to have a vast medical background, and she is knowledgeable about medical conditions and diseases and processes that can affect how the body functions physically, emotionally, and sexually. Whoa, aren't we lucky today to have you? So, Stacy, a very, very warm welcome back to Sexplosion.
Thank you so much. That was a mouthful. And have you really gotten kicked off 3 times?
Oh, yeah. I've got kicked off 3 times, and every time it's either someone reporting me that is just got a big mask on there in front of their eyes. They can't handle people speaking about
Unbelievable.
sex. And I also put the option to say 18 or over. So it's not as if that one person said, "Oh, perhaps they are people here that are under 18." Well, I said, I can't help that, can I? I've put the option on. And yeah, but
It's sad.
it is sad because the amount of feedback I get from these men that are so grateful that I talk about
Oh,
what I
the
talk about.
education is it helps relationships rather than having to go to therapy for breaking up and divorce. It saves marriages. It saves people. I just don't understand we just need to be able to really be allowed to support sex education.
Exactly. And you know what? My life, I did about 2 lives on the erogenous zones from top to bottom, and I get so many questions because people are not
I
told
don't
about this.
know.
We know about the ordinary, the obvious ones, but nobody ever talks about the ones that are less obvious and the ones that are inside. And a lot of men don't want to ask those questions. They don't want to look silly. I mean, I personally don't think they look silly if they don't know, but that's how they feel. That's how they've been brought up. So I'm absolutely delighted we're talking about this today. So I'd like you just to tell me everything about the erogenous zones. And when we get to the G spot, please explain to everybody, our audience, about the female ejaculation, because I'm just doing this as part of my marketing campaign for the book I've just been talking about. I've got is it a freebie? No, this one's an offer. It's not going to be very much, but it's an offer. And it's literally a booklet on every single thing to do with the erogenous zone, all of
Very
them.
nice.
Yeah. So this is very apt at the moment. So please go ahead. I just can't wait to talk about this.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on again. Thank you very much. I'm excited to talk about it because honestly, just to give you a quick example, I sit with my clients, and I remember one time I had said to my client of 40 years married together with their partner. And I said, okay, well, what are you typically doing? I said, is it lips, nips below the hips? I mean, that's what people do. They kiss the lips, they go to the nips, they go below the hips. They forget about all of the areas of the body that have so many nerve endings, so many sensations. And I said to them, when was the last time you've been in bed together 40 years, married 40 years, probably in bed together for 43, 44. How many times have you kissed your partner's ankle? And they look at me and they're like, your ankle? I said, yeah, it's part of the body. You're with your partner 45 years. So in 45 years, when have you gone down to their ankle? And they look at me in such like confusion. And I'm like, do you know how many nerve endings you could have in your toe and your foot and your ankle, things like that, just from a kiss? And they look at me like I'm crazy. So they're like, no, we've never even, I don't know if I've even touched her ankle. I'm like, how are you with someone in bed for 43 years and have never touched their ankle? So there's just so many areas or erogenous zones or things that we can do with our partner besides lip snips below the hips. And so I'm really glad that we're having this conversation today. And like you said, we have the basics, the breasts, the sexual organs, but you have to look at things that are different. And like I said, instead of just focusing on those three areas, go from the head to the toe and try to figure it out. That's one of the
Exactly.
things, because otherwise you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And I think what can be very, very sensitive are the inner portions that people forget about. The inner arm, or the fold of the elbow, your inner wrist, your inner thigh, your area behind your knee.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some things that you can kiss softly, touch softly, lick, that has these sensations that people are just not used to feeling.
No. So let's start at the top then. So we've got the scalp first of all, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
And you know those things that you can put on your head? It's like little,
Yes. It's
like
like
when
a
you do.
little crawler.
Yes, exactly. And I remember the very first time I put that on my head, it's like,
It
oh,
sends shivers down
it
your
does,
spine.
doesn't it? So people can start off with a massage up here. So so working our way down. So then it's the ears, isn't it? So let's talk about the ears.
Well, first of all, just even like you were talking about the scalp, when I spoke to my hairdresser, because they massage your scalp when they do the shampoo and things like that, they had told me that there's probably at least 5,000 or something nerve. There might even be more than that. I don't remember, but it was an insane amount of nerve endings in the scalp. And that the little thing that you were talking about that you put on top of the head, I know when I would get that done, I literally would have shivers down my spine. And it's automatically like I'm thinking about it right now and I can't even keep my shoulders straight.
It's just amazing, isn't it?
But then, yeah, so it's nice to really, when you're doing either full body massages or just exploring your partner's body, to start from the scalp, to work on to, like you said, the face. The eyelids can be very sensitive. I mean, every part
Yes.
of the body can be very sensitive, but if you have someone just lightly, gently kissing the eyelids and then moving around the eye, you're automatically closing your eye. So that helps you relax, and you feel the gentleness, because no one's going to like make out with your eye like you would a face or a genital or something like that. It has to be soft. So you're touching those little soft areas of the face, of the eyes, the lips. A lot of people will just automatically kiss. What about just licking the lip? What about gentle kisses on the top and the bottom lip, and not shoving your tongue in there,
Do
or
you know
not?
what? Oh, Stacy, what I absolutely detest is the lizards where they don't even kiss the lips. Like they'll just go and they go straight in there. There's nothing worse. And the amount of men that do that, it's unbelievable. I call them the lizard tongue. And instead of like gently just like going around even on the inside like that,
Yeah, by the
make
teeth and the
and
gums.
yeah, and too much kissing on the outside. It's like, and it's like, oh my God, that's just so wet and revolting. And I had a boyfriend once that He took 6 weeks to kiss me. I honestly thought that he might be gay because I thought this is
Right.
not happening rare. But when I did kiss him, it was too much saliva in the mouth. It was just
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
It was just horrible.
Well, I actually have a lot of people that come in that tell me that they don't like the way their partner kits. And I remember just, it was probably maybe a year ago, and I had a client, they were in their 50s and they were together for about maybe 11 years. And I remember she was saying that she just didn't feel the passion and the kiss wasn't doing much for her. And she was telling me this as a couple, and she would turn to her husband and said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like make you feel bad, but you just don't know how to kiss. And I said, well, why don't you teach him? And she's like, I don't want to have to teach a 50-year-old how to kiss. And
That's
I
not
said,
fair.
right. But I said, you're telling him maybe someone else loves the way he kisses. If you are not liking the way he kisses, show him. And she's just like, this is just ridiculous. And I said, just humor me.
Oh.
Show him what you like. You do it to him. He just stands there and you show him and teach him. And then she comes back the next session. They're both with these huge grins. And I go, why are you guys smiling so hard? She goes, I have never had a kiss like this in my life. She goes, it literally
Oh.
made me weak to the knees because she
Oh.
took the time to show him, communicate with him, and actually act as to how she wanted to be kissed. And when he was able to do it back, it changed. She's like, she goes, just that is worth thousands of
It
dollars that
is,
I would
isn't
pay
it?
you.
Because you
Yeah.
know what, for me and many, many women, it's a deal breaker when it doesn't
Oh,
work.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I think that that slow touch, like you said, you were showing the tongue going up and maybe even touching the gums. It gives you like little goosebumps, and it just is very passionate and very sensual. And a lot of men are not used to or not sure how to be as sensual or passionate. And so a lot of times the women will just deal with it and get annoyed and not speak up. So it's very important to be able to
Right.
use your voice as to what you like or what you think you might like. Or if you're not sure, just say, but it's a little bit sloppy. Maybe try to do it slow. Always start off slow. And those erogenous zones, when you start everything slow, almost anything could potentially be an erogenous zone.
Absolutely. And you know what? Talking about the face, I remember once I was with a boyfriend. So obviously I wasn't going to do anything. But this boy, when I say boy, so I was young and he was young. Oh, actually, he was young. I was in my 40s. He was about 28. Anyway, he was just cheek. We were just cheek to cheek, just like this. And I remember thinking, oh my God, my cheek is an erogenous zone. And I didn't even know. It was
Yeah,
fantastic. And
yeah,
nobody even, I'd never heard of the cheeks. And you were talking about the eyes. That's one I'd read up about the eyes as well for men. To get men all melting, just like you said, kiss the eyelids as well. So
yeah.
cheeks and eyelids, nobody knows about those. And I would challenge the audience to go out with your partner and just try the eyes and the cheeks and
And if your
kissing the way they
partner's not
want to
listening,
be kissed. Yeah.
right. And if your partner's not listening, they might look at you a little weird, but they might be like, whoa, who are you having an affair with? How did you learn this?
Yeah.
Send them to your show so they know everything's legit. But yeah, it's true. Just that soft, and even underneath the chin where you have the bones,
Right.
by the jaw bones, just kissing the jawline can be very sensual too.
Even with a beard.
Oh, maybe
So
not a
that's
beard.
for us then, isn't it? With us ladies, that's where we can be turned
Hmm.
on is on that bone. But if they've got a beard,
Yeah,
I suppose they're not going to be as sensitive, right? If it's a
yeah, they
man.
could shave it. No, the beard is the big thing right now. But yeah, I mean, but even for the men, the beard might go up to like where the ear is, but maybe right behind the ear. You know, we're
Right.
talking about the face. You may not be able to get as much of the face in when you have a guy with a beard, but you can definitely get towards the ear, towards the back of the ear, the lower part where the neck is going down towards your shoulder. But that's another area right there that a lot of people don't take enough time. And what happens is a lot of times you try to be passionate, but the passionate kind of comes off a little bit rough. And sometimes more for women, especially in long-term relationships, I found. At the beginning, when you're meeting someone, you have the throes of the passion and you're like
Mm.
all over each other and kissing and all of it. And it's just,
Rabbits.
But then when you are in a long-term relationship, you need it a little slower many times. The women tend to need it a little slower. So those gentle kisses, those slow things around the nape of the neck. Let's say your partner, your female partner, I'm just gonna say is making dinner or something like that, and
Yeah.
go up to them and just out of nowhere, just kiss the nape of the neck, softly use your hands, and then just say I love you and walk away. And she's gonna be like,
My
oh,
God.
okay, what's for dessert? Let's skip dinner.
Oh,
There's
I
a lot
love
of
that. I love
people.
what you're saying. Love it. Must try. I must get Greg to do that. He does occasionally, but he misses out the kissing part. So he'll touch me gently, so I'm going to get that in.
My honey is Greg also.
Ah, excellent.
But yeah, those kind of things that if we just picture everything as an erogenous zone, but you notice that there's certain things that tend to be a little more sensual, a little more titillating, I guess you could say.
Sensual, I think is the word there, isn't it? Sensual. Make it
Sensual.
sensual. Yeah. Okay,
I think
cool.
that makes a difference because whenever you go to the erogenous zones, a lot of times it's just like your body. You go to touch something, it doesn't do much. But if you take that same hand and you touch the same areas, like I'm giving myself goosebumps right now. I'm touching my arm right now and I'm feeling just a very light touch, just totally was a different sensation than just tapping it. And so something like the inner armpit or the underarm area or like that area right underneath.
If you can
And
get past the tickling, if you can get past the tickling feeling, it is amazing, isn't it?
oh, yeah, yeah. And that's why I say sometimes if you go a little too hard, it could be ticklish. But if you start somewhere else and work your way, your body gets more relaxed. And when your
Ah,
body's more relaxed, you can open up to a little bit more of that sensation without being as ticklish.
right.
But because your body is so used to being exposed on the outside of it, when you turn on the inside, such as the inner wrist and the elbow and things like even just the inner arm by the bicep, those are not areas that get touched often. And so those, when you have your arm out and you have someone even just taking their fingers and going on the inside or kissing on the inside, those can be very, very stimulating.
Cool. So with the ears, for example, there's the this bit here, and
Mhm.
also on the inside. And I'll never forget the very first time that a dog went, and I was like, and I was like, that was the first time the sensation was incredible. And it's like, oh, that was really nice. And I know it was a dog, but it kind of made me feel a bit loved by the dog too. It was just such a lovely thing that the dog did to my ear. I was like, and it's only as I got older, I realized why that was such a lovely feeling.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, the ear, the inside of the ear. You don't want to shove your tongue in like you say a lizard. It's just that soft, and some people can't handle it because it is very ticklish, but because it does cause goosebumps for most people down the body, you can very lightly suck on the earlobe and just work your way up the ear a little bit, and you get about halfway and you slide your tongue just ever so gently into the ear. I can guarantee people are going to just be
Mm.
like, oh my God, what are you doing to me? you know?
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. So, no, definitely the inside of the ears is really nice. Um, so then we start getting past the face and the head. And we talked about the nape of the neck.
Hmm.
I think the nape of the neck, or even if your partner has their hair up, or if they have short hair, such as potentially a male, um, the back of the neck down the spine area is very sensitive because that's where all the nerve endings come out of. It's all trailing from there. So that area can be very sexy too, where you have your partner laying on their stomach. So maybe you start off with just a nice massage and then you want to end with a happy ending. You can just start by kissing your partner's back. You can go on to the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades can be very sensitive. The shoulders, I mean, yeah, some people find the shoulders to be sensitive. I guess it just depends, but that's something that's a little bit more on the outside or harder. It's not as
Yeah.
sensitive as some of the nape or the spine. But even the bottom part of the, what is it called?
Of the spine, beginning with S at the bottom, the lower back, you
The
mean?
sacral, the
That's
sacral
it.
spine.
Well, So correct me if I'm wrong, but a woman, I don't know about a man, but a woman can get an orgasm from down there, because I've been for massage before now and I've actually had pulses in the front.
Yeah, and I think what happens is the pelvic nerve, everything, like I said, goes down the spine, and the nerve endings go around and feed the whole pelvis area. And so you have the nerves over there as well. And so the massages, if you, depending on, some people are more sensitive to others, it can affect your pelvis inside. And for people, especially if you have your uterus, if the nerve endings are hitting your uterus also, when you have an orgasm, will contract. And if you had a hysterectomy, it's not going to, so you may not feel it as much. But you can definitely feel sensation, which is one of the reasons why some people can have orgasms through anal sex and some can't.
Yeah.
It just depends on where those nerve endings are and how easily it reaches around. Wouldn't that be nice? Kiss
Oh,
my
it's
back,
amazing.
honey, so I can have an orgasm.
I tell you what, I honestly, when I first read about that lower back, and it can stimulate to the point of an orgasm, it all clicked into place why I was feeling like pulses in my clitoris. I was like, oh my God. And luckily they stopped at the right time at doing that bit. Obviously they didn't know. And I was like, gosh. I've got to, I'm really worried we're going to run out of time for everything,
Mhm.
because there are so many areas. I know that hands, fingers,
Palms of the hands.
yep, and tips of the fingers, and on wrists as well. How they're honestly, there used to be a little thing we used to do at school. Is like, you close your eyes,
And
you
you see where
start at
your
the
finger
wrist,
is.
yeah, and you start going up here, and then you say stop when you feel it's coming there. It just,
Yep.
and all of that. Do you know what? I used to love having that done, simply because it was just so amazing having that done, you know. So yeah, go do me. I'll tell you.
Me. Yeah, no, the hands, especially even just having a finger in someone's mouth, the tips of the fingers, being able to lick the fingertips, and like you said, going down the inner stuff. That just goes back to the whole inner thing, and same thing with the ankles. You don't even have to. I know a lot of people are like, ew, toes, feet. No, there's never way. I would never suck on that or do that. But that can be very, very erotic. And kissing the ankles and going up on the inner thigh to the back of the knee can be very erotic. The back of the knee is also very
Mm.
soft. And go up the inner thigh, and don't go to the genitals.
No, and
Focus on just the inner thigh.
that's a very valid point you're saying here, because I've always said to whoever I've been with, just do not go to the just don't go for the jugular, I always say. And that film, 50 Shades of Grey,
Yeah.
where I didn't watch I didn't read the entire book, but I read the beginning of the book, because once it got to the bondage bit, I wasn't that interested. What I was interested in was that first bit, because he teased us so much, didn't he? And I honestly recommended that every man should read that book, because he got the girl into such a state. She was just begging for it, wasn't she? And that kind of teasing is exactly what us ladies need. Men
Yeah.
are quite happy to go straight to the jugular. For them, it's straight down there. Bam, bam, wait.
Well,
Thank
that's
you,
why I
ma'am. That's
say
it.
lips, nips below the hips.
Yeah.
Snip it.
And so
Snip
when
it.
that bit is avoided at first, you get really wet, which is exactly what you need, especially for the older ladies that are
Yeah.
in their menopause, where they get dry. That's the best thing they can do. And then, yeah, and then go for it. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because otherwise it gets boring, it gets dull, and women are just doing it just to get it done with, because they're not really knowing their ability of pleasure.
no, that's exactly
And
right, isn't it?
it's really just about taking that time and that passion and allowing yourself to explore the inner thighs. When I tell people too about like blowjobs or oral, do everything but touch the clitoris. Do
Yeah,
everything but
yeah.
touch the head of the penis. Tease people, get people excited. Do go in the groin and lick around the edge, around the shaft. Touch the balls, but do not touch the shaft, because I can guarantee as soon as you get there, people are ready to explode. Same thing with the woman. Kiss the outer lips, barely kiss the inner lips. Do not go to the clitoris. Kiss around the upper pelvis area. Sometimes that pressure on the pelvis, if you can slowly, let's say, put a finger inside the vagina and you put pressure on the top part of the pelvis at the same time, and you don't even have to lick the clitoris, lick around the pelvis area. You're going to cause women to go crazy over that. But first of all, it's just that I think people don't know other options because they haven't experienced it. And society, because you get banned anytime you want to help people have a better relationship, no one's getting the information. So thank you for being able to have this podcast to be able to share with people, because it's very important.
Because, you know, the other thing, the only option that people have got to learn about sex is porn films. And the thing is, porn films are really not, I mean, I get a lot of people from India, they panic because they're going to get married in like 4 months and they've never spoken to a woman. They've
100%.
never, right? And they say, you know, and one woman said, is it right with the boobies? Because she could hardly speak any English. She goes, do I do the boobies first? I said, what do you mean? She like in the films. I was like, no, don't watch those films because they're so wrong. It's not real. It's not how it is. And they don't learn anything about erogenous zones in that at all. There's no
they don't know
seduction. There's
anything.
nothing.
Nothing. There's no education there in India. I get tons and tons and tons of phone calls. And because of the way the marriage is that they set you up. Majority of the time you get married, you've never been with the person, you barely know the person, and you don't have a chance. There may not even be attraction. And so you can't
imagine.
expect,
oh my God.
Yeah, you can't even expect to be able to do something. And there's ejaculating in 3 seconds or less, unable to, you know, it's sad what lack of education can do.
Really, it really is. And so, right now that we're talking about down there, we'll talk about the men in a minute because I'd like you to talk about the G spot for men because I get the most questions about that, and I help them the best I can. But you are a doctor, so maybe clinically you can say what you know, because you know what people say about men. Men either say, there's no way you're going up there. Why? Because I think that's what gays do, which obviously it just that happens to be where it is. So I want to talk about that. But as we're talking about the ladies, let's talk about the female ejaculation, because I honestly don't know anybody in my life. Now they know about it because of me, but quite honestly, no one had ever told me about female ejaculation. And in fact, the first time it happened to me, I honestly thought I was wetting myself. I thought, what the hell's going on, you know? And it's sad, isn't it? It's sad. Women can be married like for 45 years or whatever and not even realize that they can have an ejaculation. So let's hear from you, Dr. Stacy, all about that.
Well, I will tell you that there are a lot of women that like it, and there's a lot of women that don't like it. And there are many women who do it and don't want to. And there's many women who don't want it that want to do it and can't. So I actually had someone message me and call me for a consult because they wanted to stop doing it, because every single time they had sex, they were ejaculating and wetting the bed and squirting everywhere. And they got tired of it. And their partner was fine with it, but they were embarrassed consistently every single time. They couldn't have sex without it. So there's a lot of things.
Lucky woman, though. She doesn't even realize how lucky she is that she's getting that euphoria like every single time.
But because her mindset is not right, she's not able to enjoy it. And honestly, you know, there's a lot of people who don't want to have to deal with the mess. They don't want to have to deal with changing the sheets and making sure every time they have sex they got to put something there. And there are some men that are tired of putting their face down there getting drenched. There's either way. There's not necessarily saying, oh, it's better if you do or not if you don't. I think it's just a preference. I know personally, I've been able to a few times. For me, it's not that big of a deal. For me personally. For other women, they're like, oh my God, I would not want to do it without it. You know, and then there's some women, they're like, please just show me how.
Yeah, so, I think just having the choice, if you've never had it and then you have it, and then at least you know what it's like, whether you like to do it or not. It's good to just give women the opportunity to just experience it so they got an opinion.
And I've been able to kind of teach some women how to do it. And first thing is first is, if you go in just saying, I only want to do this, this is my goal, you have to have an open mind. You have to be able to relax, and you have to be able to know it may not happen. It may not happen each time. It may only happen once and never happen again. Some people can do it through fingers and some people can do it through sex. There's so many variables, though, depending on where their G-spot's located, how the shape of the penis is, what position they're in, how they're lifting. One thing that can be helpful when you're having sex, when you hit the G-spot is about 2 inches in the vaginal canal. So I tell people the way to find it is if you take 2 of your fingers and that come hither kind of fingering touch that you have, when you put your fingers inside the vagina and you feel around, you'll feel the softness of your vaginal canal, but then all of a sudden you'll get to a little bit of a rounded area that kind of is the size of a walnut or so, and it might have a little bit of ridges, is not as soft as the vaginal canal, and that's probably where your G-spot is. Many people actually get that pressed and they feel like they have to pee, so they stop themselves. And that's the thing that we have to help women understand, is that if you go to the bathroom first and then you go to have sex and all of a sudden you feel like you have to pee, it's most likely not urine. It's probably that you're hitting the G-spot, because when you press on that G-spot, the G-spot is right below the bladder. And so you are going to feel some pressure by the bladder, but what comes out is ejaculate. And some people, they have this whole thing. Is it real? Is it urine? Are you peeing? Are you not? There is some uric acid in ejaculate because it comes from the same tube, basically. Okay. But it's not pee. It's not like you're completely peeing yourself. Okay. So once your fingers are in there, if you press up with your fingers when they're inside, you can feel some pressure on your bladder. The way that I help people try to figure out how to really explore that is sometimes with their fingers or even a G-spot toy. Because some people might feel more sensitivity on the right side of it, the left side of it. You could see it's almost like a little, like I said, a walnut. So there's the right and left side, and some people have different sensations depending on where the G-spot they hit.
Here's a toy that you're talking about that will hit the G-spot. Let me just take it out so that the people who watch this will know. But it's like a V shape, and it will do, this particular one will do the G-spot and the clitoris at the same time. So
right. So if you hide that top part, that bottom part, it's thicker near the bottom, right there. Yep, it's thicker near the bottom, so that way it hits that G-spot area better than it being thinner. So you always want to get some type of a toy that have some type of a bulbous end.
Bigger than this, do you think? Bigger than this?
Not necessarily, because it doesn't have to be bigger than that, but you have about 2-3 inches. How much is that? That's probably about 3 inches right there.
Yeah, that's right? 3 inches in total. Yeah.
Most people's G-spot are around 3 inches in, because the vaginal canal is usually only 2 to 3 inches long. Right. But people say, well, how do you fit something in there? It stretches. Oh, right. So sometimes it stretches to fit the penis. It stretches to fit a baby.
It has to, really, because the baby's got to come out of there, hasn't it?
Exactly. So it's like a rubber band. A rubber band starts 2 or 3 inches. As you start getting, that pulling the blood flow, as you keep it going, it's able to stretch longer and longer. So when you're putting that pressure on that G-spot with your fingers, then hopefully when you start especially stimulating the clitoris, like that toy has that clitoral sucky thingy on it.
Yeah, the sucky one's a better one.
Oh yeah, the sucky one's a good thing.
Oh my God, absolute guarantee that one. I've got
30 seconds or less, right?
So this one here, I've got them all here, haven't I? I've got this one here. For those who can only listen, it's one that's just the sucky one. It's just the air. It's fantastic. Yeah. I'll even go out and water my plants with that in my knickers. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they have the satisfier, the womanizer, all those different kinds of the sucky ones, the suckies. Those are literally 30 seconds or less. Those are great. But if you have something like that with something inside, so you're stimulating the G-spot and you're getting sucky sucky, that can cause a really, really good potential sexplosion.
That's why I
Quotes,
called it Sexplosion.
explosion.
Excellent. Okay, so is there anything else about the G spot? Because I'd like to ask about the A spot after that.
The G spot, just basically, one thing that I wanted to mention is that when you have a penis in there, sometimes what can be helpful is lifting your pelvis up on some type of a pillow or like a triangle wedge. And something like that could absolutely help with the G spot area.
Actually, something else that might help. Some people write to me, men write to me and say, look, I've got an odd shaped penis. And I said, well, what shape is it? He said, it's like a banana. I said, actually, that's very good for the G spot for a woman.
Absolutely.
And no one has ever said that to them before. They've just all their lives thought, oh my God, mine's a funny shape.
Well, that's why when you look at most of the toys, a lot of them will curve up. The straight ones actually are much harder to reach the G spot. So, but go on. You want to talk about the A spot now?
Yes, please. Yes, the A spot.
So the A spot, it's the anterior fornix, and the anterior zone, it's a little bit deeper. Some people can reach it and some people can't. It's kind of where you have like the front of the vaginal wall to the cervix. And so when some people say like, oh, I don't want to have a hysterectomy and remove my cervix because I have cervical orgasms. So it's kind of like that area where the cervix is bulbous. It kind of comes out a little bit into the vaginal canal.
That's where the cap goes, isn't it? When you know the preventative
the diaphragm
used to go up there, didn't it? It used to sit on that, didn't it?
Right. It's about, so like the G spot is probably about 3 inches in. This one's about 4 or 5 inches in. And so that little bulbous area, there's 2 little areas on each side of the vaginal canal, right where the cervix would be. And so a lot of times those areas, the anterior one, which is a little bit higher on the upper side. So if you're laying back, it would be anterior towards your belly, not the one towards your backside. So towards the top area, a lot of people get the sensation in that area, and they can have what they call like a cervical orgasm.
So that's really like doggy style gets that one, doesn't it?
Doggy style can get that because when you're flipped upside down, it's going to be towards your belly. And it's, that's actually a good position to do when someone doesn't have as much curvature.
Right.
Because when you have the curvature, you're at the posterior fornix. You're going to hit a little bit more towards the back of the cervical area if they're long enough. If you have someone that's a little shorter, 4 or 5 inches, it may not hit as much. When you have someone that's a little bit longer because it is deeper, you're looking at someone that maybe has, 6, 7 inches to be able to hit the cervix or to be able to get really, really deep. And sometimes in that position, or once again, the position with your butt on the
pillow. Yeah.
On the pillow.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. Thank you for that. So now I'd like to talk about the male G spot.
Okay.
Because that people say all sorts of different things to me, but one is no, that's not meant to have anything go up it. Things are only supposed to go down it. There's a reason why that it's going to enlarge. It's going to enlarge the rectum. All sorts of things. And of course, it's got that stigma of being gay. And I say to men, you are missing out big time by not allowing anything to go up there. So I'll let you talk about it.
Well, basically, when people say the first thing about, oh, that's so gay or something like that, first of all, being gay means you are emotionally and physically attracted to a member of the same sex. If you are a female and you're attracted to a female, you're a lesbian. If you're a male, you say vice versa. So if I ask these men, are you attracted to men? Absolutely not. Okay. So then what is it if a woman is doing something to you, a hot, sexy woman that you love, doing something to your body physically? Why is that a big deal? Because it's just something that they have in their head. It's societal.
That's a good way of saying it, though, that they don't actually fancy men. So what's it got to do with it? Yeah.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
is there a man? Are you getting touched by a man? Are you getting penetrated by a man? No, it's either a finger, a toy. There are a lot of men that, if open to it and when they have tried it, enjoy pegging.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and pegging is just a female wearing a strap on and going, it's almost like a power trip. So it's
Mm.
more of not being gay and having a penis inside of you, but it's a sensual, stimulating area that when you hit the prostate is extremely stimulating for men. And so if the man will allow their partner to penetrate, whether it's a finger, a toy, or being pegged, like you said, they are missing out if they don't feel that sensation. And what can be even better? Now, listen to this. Okay. For
I'm all
men that
ears. I'm all ears. And so the audience.
men, if you are open and interested, if you take a toy and put it inside the backside that vibrates, and you allow your sexy, hot ass woman to do what they want to your penis and give you a blow job and touch
At the
everything and
same
suck
time.
everything at the same time, and you have an orgasm with something in your backside, you will want that there every single time.
But let me tell you. Oh no, carry on, carry on. I'll tell you in a
No, I was
second.
just going to say, so that the stimulation of that prostate is going to be more sensitive than just the stimulation on the head of the penis.
Mm. So every because during my sexual peak, I used to go out with a lot of young men, and I was really wanted them to know about the G spot. So I said, if you found your G spot, and some of them would say, most of them would say no. And I said, okay, trust me. So I showed them the G spot, and this particular, I'm talking about one particular man here who said, oh my God, that was amazing. The following week, he said, Caroline, I've stimulated myself. I found it myself, and it was
Yep.
amazing. The following week, he phoned me again. He said, Caroline, I found a toy, and I thank you so much for showing me my G spot. And then after that, whoever I showed it to, actually, some of them said absolutely no, and I said the same thing as we've been saying, they're missing out, but others like really, really loved it. And I remember one friend said to me, Caroline, she said to me, look, I'm going to sit on your face. Can you trust it? What do you mean? What? No, please just trust me, right? So he said, okay, okay. So he was like going, what the hell is she doing? Please, please, just trust me. Oh, trust me. And he said, I just went whoop like that. And he said, I came. He said, it was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. And I just wish that everybody, all the men that are listening to this podcast, please, if you've got a partner, get that partner to help you find it. And if you don't, get yourself a toy. Wouldn't you agree, Stacy?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to give a couple of quick tips because people are like, there's no way things are going inside of that. That's automatically what they're thinking. There are steps that you can take to make sure that you give yourself the time to move towards insertion. And if you can just even allow your partner to put a little bit of lube on their finger and just allow touching on the anal area, just on the
Just that
outside,
alone is amazing, isn't it?
just that alone, having a person, I know some of you can't see, but I'm holding my hand closed like a little mouth and just putting like a little anal hole, just taking a finger and putting some pressure just on the anus while you are giving a blowjob. So that way they're feeling that pressure. And then you'll see that you might want it in a little bit. So you start off with just, make sure you don't have long nails that could hurt if
Yeah.
you're going to do that. Make sure your nails are really, really cut. But, just by doing that pressure, don't try to push anything in. Just put pressure on there near that taint, near the perineum, and allow just to see what it feels like with just a finger. And take your time. And going back to the gay thing, I try to say, a lot of lesbians who only are interested in women love to be penetrated by a strap-on. Okay, but that doesn't make them heterosexual.
No.
And it's the same thing with men. Okay, doesn't make you a homosexual if you enjoy being penetrated. So look at it that way.
Excellent. Okay, so listen, we've just got a few minutes left here. What else would you say that's really, because obviously there's loads more that we would talk about, but we've only got a small amount of time. So what would you say now would be the thing that they should really focus on, the thing we haven't spoken about that they need to focus on as well?
Well, I think that everyone should be a trisexual. Try everything sexual, and if you don't like it, don't do it again.
Trisexual. I love that. Oh, that's been brilliant. Okay, Stacey, thank you so much. It's coming to an end now. What I want you to do is please tell everyone how they can contact you, because if they want to know a bit more, I'd love for them to contact you. So please give out your details.
I appreciate that. Well, my name is Dr. Stacy Friedman, and it's StacyFriedman, and that's my website, drstacyfriedman.com. And I do offer complimentary 15-minute consults. So if you're not sure if we're a good fit or if it's something I work with, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to help. And you can find me on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, everything under the drstacyfriedman.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. There's one last question I'd ask you. If is anybody on here that really is frightened of the female ejaculation, or frightened of the G-spot, the male G-spot, what would you say to them? Apart from the is there anything else you'd like to say to them?
I think that it's really important to be able to talk with your partner, because if you can take things slow and do baby steps, kind of like I explained about not penetrating, but just touching, and just talk about your concerns, because it might be like, if you're worried about the ejaculation, either side, the man worrying about it going in their face or the woman worrying about it not happening or happening, talk to to the partner, see what you can do together, and hopefully you can have that communication that can allow you to move forward and try new things. That's important.
Thank you so much, Stacey. So please come back for some explosive, unscripted conversations. I hope you all got some golden nuggets out of this one. Thank you so much, Stacey, for coming back and talking to us about our erogenous phones. And thank you so much, everybody. Tune in next month. Absolutely love you. I was just talking to Sarah Martin, and because at the end of that one, I mentioned you like I do, and she said, "Oh, I love her," and I said, "Yeah, we got it back on." So listen,
Sarah's great. Sarah's great.
Thank you so much, and to your success. I'll see you all next month. I'm out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.